what's up, brother?
Hey, bro, we adapt and overcome. It's a different setup for me, up in Philadelphia where the Eagles ain't flying too much, but it's always a great time we get to talk football and be around each other. What's going on?
Not much. Got my own new setup. Hopefully, this kind of works out. Got a
It
free
looks
tripod, so we'll see how this works out.
it looks
Got the
dope.
fresh. Hopefully, going to be a little
So,
bit easier to run off of instead of sitting on my couch.
right. But so of course the first thing, take advantage of our Black Friday sale. Right now we got spend $60 or more, get $10 off. So that's gonna be for now until what, next Tuesday, or I think, or no, next Tuesday or
No,
Wednesday. The
next
second,
Wednesday,
whatever
the
day that
second.
is.
Yeah,
Yeah, Wednesday.
one of
So
those days.
go ahead, go to bombshell.com / loudmouth sports talk for all your apparel. Be sure to get that.
Yes, sir. You got the hoodie on. I got a
Absolutely.
version of the T-shirt. This is the owner exclusive. But yeah, man. Great Black Friday setup that we have for that. So definitely go check out Miss Michelle over at Bombshell Bowling, bombshellbowling.com / loudmouth sports talk to get that merch. Also, starting this week, uh, talk about who we got that's going to be kind of starting off sponsoring the show for us.
Oh, so shout out to my boy Jay over there at Jim Shorkey, North Hills, Jamar Boat Right. Go ahead, hit him up. You can reach him out on Facebook, and like I'm pretty sure he has Facebook. And just when you go there, mention Loud Out Sports Talk, he'll know we sent you. Might hook you up with a new car, spend your holiday. Shout out to my boy Jay. And then if there's anybody else who has a small business, has anything you want loudmouth to shout you out on, we have a pretty big outlet. We can help you. So if there's anybody out there who has any small business, any big business, any type of brands, anything you want us to promote, hit up myself, George, email us at loudmouthsportstalk.gmail.com. I'm a loudmouthsportstalk@gmail.com. There we go. That
There
thing.
we are.
Took me a while, but we're here.
It's all right. But yeah, man, great weekend of football. Again, as always, our
He
Steelers
joined
are
as we were doing. That's what I'm talking about.
nice. Uh, but yeah, great weekend of football. As always, we talk about our Steelers are still undefeated, which is obviously awesome. The expected mini bye that we were hoping for obviously got ruined. The Ravens have 3 players right now and another 5 staff members that are dealing with COVID right now, which unfortunately the Steelers have to deal with by getting kind of things moved around on them. But but they'll deal with it. They'll overcome. And then hopefully we're going to be dealing with another undefeated squad going into week 13. This is
So
obviously week 12 now.
it just bothers me because like the Packers and the 49ers, I'm pretty sure they played a game on a Thursday when they had multiple people test positive. Like, and it irritates me, man. Like, why? Like, it's like they want to sabotage Pittsburgh. This is the second time now that we've moved games, we switched games, and every single. If I'm a football player, like every single player in the locker room, it came out and they said we weren't supposed to. Like Mike Tomlin wasn't going to go back to work till Wednesday after Thursday, so he was giving them a week off. And
Yeah.
and that's important, especially gearing up for the playoffs. Now, what I think it does for Baltimore, you got to watch out because this Pittsburgh team is going to come out. I think it's. I already thought we was going to win, but I think this is going to be a statement. Like, especially because everybody, oh, the Chiefs are still the best team, and Pittsburgh hasn't shown that they're good. Like, Are we not watching the same still? Like we're watching the Steelers beat teams when they're not playing at their best. Kansas City has to play their very best, and everybody's like, "Oh, only team they could have lost to was the Vegas Raiders." Who else have they fucking played? They've been on.
Yeah,
They've
I
had a
mean,
cakewalk.
again, everybody can argue teams that we have to play, teams that are going to play, but whenever it basically boils down to everything, you can only face the guys that, especially in the NFL. I mean, it's not like college that you're trying to set up games with Bama or anything like that.
Right.
So you can only play who's on your roster.
Right.
Again, Brady played Buffalo, Miami, and the Jets for basically his entire career, and it wasn't the same Buffalo team or the Miami team that we're watching now. So again, it is what it is. As always, the Steelers got haters. It's gonna be what it is. Going into or coming off of this weekend, even though we did start slow, I'm happy how they finished. Obviously, I would like to see kind of a cleaner game, especially right out the gate. But that kind of is what it is. Um, he's gone. But definitely coming off of this weekend is going to be very interesting. Also, to that point, obviously, like we talked about Kansas City and Vegas, that was an amazing game. For a football fan, it's definitely a great game to watch, both offensively and defensively. Um, that's what, again, we should be hoping and expecting for a Monday night. Um, what other games did you take anything really away from?
So you brought up so the game you brought up I really liked. And we'll talk about this. So obviously the game that stood out to me is just this Rams defense. Oh my goodness. Oh my I mean, oof. I mean, it's just like you sit there and you look at that defense and somebody DJ, whatever his name is, Myers, he's in a group, bro. He talked it and said Aaron Donald is overrated. And then his reasoning behind it was the fact that he's getting triple teamed and is not doing anything. And this is where knowing football and playing football, you kind of got to know. If you're being triple teamed, that means there's three other people. One person's left alone, two others have a one on one. And it's not like you're going against nobodies. Brockers is a beast, is a dog, is a grown man. And then they got who's number 50? Is it Floyd from the Bear? He used to play for the Bears.
I think
Um,
so.
I think so.
I can't think of the name off the top of my head.
But what surprised me, man. So what the hell are they doing with Tom Brady? Why is he throwing a deep ball? Like, why
Yeah,
are they falling
especially
in
with
love
how
with
his
this?
arm.
It's kind of like if I know I got my fiance for being funny and treating her right, doing the right things, I'm not going to start treating her like shit and expecting her to stay with me. Like if I'm so good at making like me and you, we're good at football talk. Like that's what we do. We're not going to go try to have a baseball show. That's not what we do.
Right.
So why in the fuck are you going to make Tom Brady, who spent his whole career dinking and dunking, throwing short medium, killing you like an assassin? Why make him start throwing the deep ball? And then Bruce Arians, I'm tired of hearing him call out Tom Brady every week. Oh, we got guys open. Oh, we either need to do better at the deep ball or we got to shut the fuck up. You don't need to do it. Like, Bill Belichick earns the respect to attack Tom Brady if he wanted to. You never once heard him say anything. Does Bruce Arians really have the respect that he gets to say anything he wants toward Tom Brady? Have you proven yourself as a head coach to be that great that you can call out somebody? I don't remember him winning anything as a head coach. I remember him being average to maybe good a year or two at best.
Yeah.
Like,
he was definitely way better as a coordinator.
He could call out Russell Wilson and say he needs to be better. Mike Tomlin can call out Big Ben, say he needs to be better. Bruce Arians, shut the fuck up. Like, I just don't like it. I don't like him talking so much. It's never about him. It's never, I suck at calling plays because I don't run the ball and I have Ronald Jones and Leonard Fournette. Or I don't do play action pass because I don't establish the runs. Like, you don't hear Mike Tomlin coming out and be like, oh, yeah, man, Ben sucks. He needs to stop throwing the ball so much. Mike Tomlin says our running game sucks. We need to get better at the run game. That's how you win Super Bowl. I thought Bruce Arians would have learned that, but whatever.
Yeah, I mean, it goes back to the idea of how Lamar Jackson's being handled right now. How in the past they tried to make Russell Wilson a pocket passer. I once again continue to go back to the NFL, and now it's not so much game mismanagement, it's player mismanagement. That's why my fandom has continued to stay in college, because they use the weapons more often than not appropriately. Just like you made a point, why are you trying to take deep shots with a highly seasoned quarterback that never really built his name off of taking deep shots outside of having Randy Moss, I'll think, off the top of my head.
Right.
But has succeeded in that 5 to 15 yard area. And just like Jay Marr just said in our comments, especially having AB and Miller, why not take advantage of that?
Right.
I still think Mike Evans could still succeed in that area. But then you have your opportunities to take shots with him. I'm hoping as a big body wide receiver, Mike Evans can run slants. And like we just saw yesterday, they like to just throw him a spot pass and let him muscle his way for a couple yards. I'm not saying that you need to make that your team identity, but like we always talk about, I feel like we continue to see the NFL making the idea of dinking and dunking to be a polarized negative, instead of allowing it to be a successful thing for offense.
And the thing is, and this is the problem, and it's just like you said, it's player management. Like Baltimore, like, and I hate to say this, man, but it's like you got a guy like Taysom Hill, right? We're gonna talk about him.
Yeah.
Like he threw 15 passes in the NFL, got paid 2 years, 30 mil, whatever the fuck his contract is. He didn't look. I mean, they beat the Falcons, but like some of the throws, you looked at him and you're like, it's worse than Lamar Jackson's. But why won't you consider, like, or is anybody going to crucify Taysom Hill like they did Lamar Jackson? No. Right? And so, like, for me, Lamar Jackson, I want him to succeed, but like Greg Roman is not the answer. He's reached his cap. Because here's and Louis Riddick, which I love listening to him talk football. When you hear him, he said, when you look at when it's a coach or when you look at it's a player, whether it's effort, you can tell by what happens. If you look at the beginning of a game and you look at, okay, this player made a mistake, this player did this. And then in the second half, if that player is still in the wrong spot, at some point that becomes coaching, right? Like, you can tell when a player makes a mistake by like, oh, okay, break down coverage. But then if you get beat on that same play in the second half, that's because you didn't make the adjustment. Like right. Baltimore's offense is struggling because everybody wants to try to make Lamar Jackson a deep ball thrower. They want him to do this. instead of making it simpler for him. RPO should be their go-to thing. Play action pass should be their go-to thing. Like they need to study the Rams. The Rams literally on Monday night, they ran the ball 5 or 6 times in the first half, but they were still effective on the play action. Do you know what that is? Because they don't even have a great running game. The Baltimore Ravens have a great running game. It should be as easy as possible to be like, okay, RPO, throw the ball. Or let's run a bootleg with Lamar Jackson. Get an athlete out in its space and let him be special. Like, why don't we do that?
Well, I think they were doing that up until we had Lamar Jackson saying, "Oh, everybody knows our playbook."
Agreed.
Well, again, and like we discussed about it in our group chat, not so much on here, but I'm sorry, but I pray to God a defensive coordinator in the NFL can say, this is a formation, this is the top 3 plays that they run out of it. Or the idea that, okay, this is a formation, and I'm going to assume with a high probability that Lamar is going to keep the ball.
Right.
I feel like that's not a high surprise for anybody. Just like, obviously, Ben tips his hand, and I mean anybody would if they go 5 wide. But you're going to highly assume that Ben's not going to run the fucking ball.
Right.
He's going to pass.
Right.
So, I mean, especially in the NFL, I mean, even in high school, I mean, Coach Mars had everybody prepared that out of this formation to the boundary, these are the top 2 or 3 plays to look for.
Bro.
And, of course, not only did our defense always make noise by making our calls, but then, again, you, Lenoski, Mac, Ray, I mean, all the guys that played linebacker for us would be screaming, watch that guard, his ass is down, he's probably pulling.
Right.
Watch this might happen. Like, if we're able to do that at a high school level, I hope at an NFL level that makes sense. I hope Lamar is hearing all kinds of shit saying, watch the RPO.
Right.
But there's so much combination that you could do for an RPO that you automatically make 2 people wrong.
Right. And it's just like for me, and again, Coach Hank Marziel is one of the greatest high school defensive coaches ever. Because what you said, it doesn't do it justice. Like I'm telling you, we get the 3-page report on Monday, and most people probably threw it away. But like I went home Monday night and I'm watching film, right? Like, and I'm like, okay, let's see. And then throughout the practice, he had the cards. He would call it on 1st down, 2nd down, 3rd down. He had these calls, these setup to the point where, bro, I'm telling you, like in the game, I was like, oh, okay, we got trips left. Like, hey, watch this play. And I would always make the play. And everybody's like, oh, he's so smart. Like, yeah, I am smart. But it also is because my coach put me in a position to be great. Prime example, when Derrick Henry scored that touchdown against Baltimore on Sunday for the overtime game-winning touchdown, they had 9 people on the line. If there's 9 people on the line of scrimmage, big dogs, what's probably going to happen? They're probably going to run the ball. But it's about will. It's about heart. It's about, like, and that's why people always say X's and O's. In a game like that, it don't fucking matter. It's about, are you going to let another grown-ass man tell you what's up? Lamar Jackson, and that's why I didn't like when Lamar Jackson came out and said it, because it's like, bro, that makes you look soft as fuck. So what you're doing? You're 3 years in the system. You can't make a check? Like,
right.
Big Ben against...
Or again, the idea that they don't trust, if it's the idea that he's not allowed to have the check, the idea that he's not allowed to have the ability to check is also concerning.
Right. And another quarterback who I'm starting to raise awareness on is Carson Wentz. I mean, like, he's another guy where, and I was talking to Kenya's little brother about it, and he was like, nah, man, we got to keep Carson Wentz. Like, But you got Jalen Hurts and then Doug Peterson. I heard it on the radio up here. He was saying that if we bench Carson Wentz, that is saying our season's over, which means they have no faith in Jalen Hurts, zero. But he's playing that
Well,
bad that it's like we should bench him, but we don't have anybody. Like he's playing that bad, and it's just like, how can coaches make adjustments? And that's why guys like Sean McVay. Remember the Rams last year? Everybody wrote them off. Oh, the Rams are bad. Sean McVay's overrated. Kyle Shanahan's overrated. These dudes are geniuses. You know who we're not talking about enough, George? Matt LaFleur. I mean, we give him no credit for how great of an offensive mind he is. Like, Aaron Rodgers is playing the best he's ever played. And it's a lot of the creativity that Matt LaFleur motion. Like, Dan Orlovsky, I know you love listening to him because you are a football guy. Like, him talking X's and O's, man. Like, he's going to be an offense coordinator somewhere. Like, somebody's going to pay him because he's just
yeah.
up here. Like, those dudes are special. You got to do this day and age, and that's why it gets so mad with Randy Finkner. With, like, the Pittsburgh Steelers, sometimes we look like, oh, this is bad. And then when you see a play where there's some flashy, there's some good, you're like, oh, Matt Canada actually called a play. Like, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's so bad. Like, poor player management. It's like when you sit there and you watch, like, what game was I watching? The Buccaneers and whatchamacallit game. Your quarterback, Tom Brady, your offensive line is so bad, but yet you're still trying to call a 7-step drop with a deep ball.
Yeah.
Why? Like, you have to go against Aaron Donald. The one thing I'm probably not going to do is hold on to the ball, period, against Aaron Donald.
No shit. Yeah.
Right. Like, and then you can't sit there and be like, well, they got Jalen Ramsey. Yeah, but you got Mike Evans, Godwin, and Antonio Brown, along with Miller, who is outstanding. Then you got Gronk and Braid. Like, there's no excuse. You got all these weapons. Like, Big Ben is killing everybody with weapons of mass destruction right now because you can't key in on one person. Like, you can't just key in on two.
He's spreading it around too much that, people can't just focus on one. Yeah.
Right. So, I mean, I guess. But.
So, obviously, it's COVID season for the NFL. How hot is Anthony Lynn's seat getting? I know both of us are very big fans of his, but they almost lost to the Jets. Again, obviously, almost is a very subjective parameter, I'll say. Right. But it's getting very scary how many games they've given up to big leads, and now you're looking at a very bad team. Obviously, I got angry about the Steelers playing Dallas as poorly as they did, but now you have the Chargers that are a pretty good team almost falling to the Jets. Even though we both really like Anthony Lynn, how hot do you think his seat's getting?
I don't think it's getting that hot. I hope it's not getting hot. Only because, man, we're coaching, like, you're coaching in the NFL. No games are easy, especially when you're going against a Greg Williams defense. That makes it hard, and he's a rookie. Like, Greg Williams is a veteran. Like, he's one of the best defense coordinators out. Of course he's going to make it hard. Now it's like the Jets. People say, like, a bad team in the NFL is still a good football team. Like, and I love what Urban Meyer. I don't know if you remember what Urban Meyer said, but he said he hated hearing, well, there's a bad coach in the NFL or there's a bad player. Like, there's no such thing, right? And he talked about it. He said, now the coach might not be connecting with the players, or the player might not like the coach, or the player might be going through something. But it's like, there's no bad teams. Like, everybody needs that right fit, that right image. I can't say Anthony Lynn because, again, he's not dealt a full healthy cards. If he has Derwin James on his defense, is the difference? Is their defense?
I mean, if they have a healthy roster, I mean, Bosa has been held to a pitch count. They finally just got Melvin Ingram. I mean, those two bookends.
Out, their left tackles out. Like, bro, you're playing. They're playing with house money, and I just hope they give him a chance to continue to let him. But I mean,
I mean, like I said, that's why I preempted with COVID season.
right,
Um, Obviously, in college, I feel like they're treating it a little different. But especially in the NFL, I feel like they have to give them some kind of wiggle room. Um, Especially him, I give him a lot of wiggle room, but it's definitely a question that has to be asked just because of, again, more or less the overall landscape.
right.
Um, but it's definitely, I feel at this point, a scary situation for him, just for the sheer fact that they've had a bunch of pretty rough games this year.
Right. Yeah. Uh, I hope it. I just hope his seat's not hot, man. Cause I mean, I don't know. I just Justin Herbert. When you look at a team like that, they fight. You know, like I mean, in 7 games, losing by less than a touchdown, like like those. That means you're competing. That means you're in the right spot, and you can say, well, what if? Like all right, well now he doesn't have Philip Rivers who was turning the ball over so much. Like now he has a young guy who's looking. You want to talk about the teams past Justin Herbert up? I would I would be looking like all because everybody said he wasn't a leader because he was quiet. That's what
Right.
I meant. Like shit,
And
give me a quiet
now,
quarterback who can do that.
yeah, seriously. I mean, I was always obviously a huge fan of him just because it's Oregon. But the idea that a lot of these teams with struggling quarterbacks could have gladly used him, especially this season, and then going forward, like we talked about, you get some of those guys back that are going to be healthy, especially a defense that's going to be healthy, and he's already playing with success. He's also playing with a second and third string running back because his starter's out. Like you already mentioned, he has a bunch of offensive linemen that are out. So, um, I'm a huge fan of Anthony Lynn. I still feel like that's still a question that has to be asked, unfortunately, just because of how the NFL is. What are you doing?
Kenya's fucking these crab legs up, bro. Like she's in trenches with the crab legs. Like it's a battle, bro. It's like Pittsburgh, Baltimore with these crab legs. Like, like if you hear the crunching, bro, it's like bone breaking. She's getting it, cuz.
He
Like
said bone
I'm trying,
breaking.
yeah, like I'm trying to focus, but I just keep her, and I like look over at her, and she's like, she's flipping her hair. It's a war, bro. Gotta be about to go over there and help.
I got you, babe. I'll crack this leg for you.
Right. I'll crack it. I got you. I'll jump his head. um. So, what did you think about Taysom Hill?
So I mean, this is basically his first full game in the rain, like actually at the helm. Um, I'm still not going to pass full judgment on him yet because I mean, even though I didn't honestly get to watch him play, but
Right.
from a stat line standpoint, um, it it didn't look bad.
Right.
Um, Obviously, whenever you start actually watching him, And when you start getting down to the eye test, it's obviously a little bit different. But I mean, from his I got to go off of his stats. Just from his stats alone, again, he's a weapon. I think it's weird that we went back and forth, I guess, at least from the media side of things, on who was going to be the actual starter. Obviously, as a fan, and then I guess basically an analyst, that got kind of annoying. But I mean, you know how it is. Going forward, I obviously hope he continues to progress. Mainly just because that's what the Saints need. You good?
Yeah, sorry.
You good. I'm just messing with you. But no, like, I mean, they have optimism for Brees coming back. With 11, fractured ribs. That's going to be brutal. Unfortunately, the bad part of the NFL, or I shouldn't say NFL, but I'll say football, is, again, if I'm a D lineman, a linebacker, if I get a chance, I'm laying on him. Just because that's their biggest way to win. Even though, again, he's another aging quarterback with an aging arm that already had questions on the deep ball because of after the surgery many, many years ago at this point. But he's always had questions about his arm strength. Getting down to it, it's going to be interesting how they continue to progress with Taysom Hill, especially having Kamara and everything like that. So again, I won't be surprised if they keep him in the pocket a little bit more. But Sean Payton and everybody in that coaching room would be an idiot if they strictly hold him into the pocket.
Do you know why they won that game? Their defensive line, or their defense total, had 9 sacks, I believe. Their defense.
That'll do it.
And I think their defense put the pressure on them, right? I mean, I think we always did that. Like, their quarterback's out. All right, we're going to shut everything down, not make it easy. We're going to go at him. But you can't expect that Saints defense to have 8 to 10 sack game. That's just not going to happen.
Right? It's not fathomable, especially for how poor that defense, or not poor, but sometimes how average that defense plays.
Right. So, for me, that's what stood out the most is just their defense played outstanding. Is there anything NFL-wise, anything else?
Not that I can think of. I mean, there hasn't been very much other news other than, I mean, the Ravens Steelers was probably the biggest news so far. But that was really about it.
Did you ever?
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. I was just going to transition.
I know how you feel about it because you feel the same way. But, like, how did you feel about John Harbaugh not shaking Mike Vrabel's hand after the game? I thought it was, you, go fuck yourself. But
considering how the beginning of the game started with them all chirping at each other, I'm not that surprised.
Well, it wasn't even them chirping at each other. That's like the misconception. The Ravens players were in the locker room. John Harbaugh was still out. The Tennessee Titans huddled up on their field. And they did the same exact thing playoff game last year. They held it up on their field, on their 50, on their logo, and was stomping it. And so Harbaugh went over there and was like, go ahead, get off my field. And Malcolm Butler attacked him. And then Vrabel came over and had words. I just think Harbaugh's a sore loser. Like, that's what that is, bro. Like, you just
I think he's hurt. Mm-hmm. I mean, that was the same way as everybody started talking about, or I guess I'll say harping on Brady not shaking Jared Goff's hand after the game. But I mean, we all know people chalk up that kind of shit to Brady being a competitor. I chalk it up to him being a bitch
Yes.
and a baby. But I mean, it's one of those things that I mean, I can only probably think of one time in my entire athletic career, athletic career, not so much as a coach, but as my athletic career that I didn't go onto the field and shake hands, or again in like arena, you didn't really have a handshaking line. You just dapped it up with everybody, kind of like the NFL. I can only think it like in one point in my career that I didn't shake hands after the game, and that's just because I was absolutely frustrated and disappointed with how my team played. Um, but other than that, I mean,
Shit, as a coach, you must walk away. Sorry.
shit, there were some games I had to leave.
I'm about to murder
Shit,
the whole
there,
city.
fuck. Speaking, I mean, god damn, wrong coder. Speaking of Coach Mars almost beat the fuck out of Ravenstall that year we played North Catholic. Fucking wrong coder had to stop that shit from happening. Um, but I mean, that whole thing. I mean, it's in every level of sport, in every different sport, of guys leaving the court early, leaving the field early. It's one thing if you're hurt or dinged up, but like the shit break, and this is multiple times now that he's done this.
And
Um,
and I gotta be real because here's the thing. My man LeBron James, he walked off the court when there was 9 seconds left. He left and he looked at the clock. The clock was supposed to be gone. Everybody in the NBA does it. They've done it every single. You can look at every single game. Anybody has done it. Everybody walks off the court. You know, somebody the second bench dribble it out, and everybody else walk out. LeBron James does it. He's a shitty person. He's a sore loser. He's this. He's that. He's this type of guy. Tom Brady, you know, good old white boy Tom Brady. He does it, and they're like, "Oh, he's just a competitor."
I
He's
honestly
just
haven't heard anybody actually
uh,
like defend him on that. I mean, might be wrong, but like there's been other instances of him pouting on the sideline and calling a competitor. But
right. But
him
then
walking off the
Odell
field
Beckham
not
is the
shaking.
cancer. Like I hate that.
Well,
Just the persona of like.
he's a brat too. He can go fuck off.
But I'm saying Tom Brady does it, and they're like, "Oh, he's a competitor." Odell Beckham does it. Oh,
Well,
he's a competitor.
that's a certain group of fucking people that I don't associate myself with. ESPN. But uh, they're a bunch of hoes themselves. That's besides the point. But again, any of that, like between like, I mean, Brady's done it multiple times this year, which I feel like in a different locker room, he didn't have to yell at his offensive line. Somebody else kind of helped him with that.
Right.
But now that he's done in Tampa, and again, we're seeing, like you talked about earlier, with Bruce Arians not kind of doing his thing, and guys just not doing what he's used to. I think it's affecting him more than we actually think.
Agreed.
But yeah, I'm trying to think if there's any other fun NFL news this week. Obviously, we have the two Turkey games tomorrow.
Oh, we got pick 'em.
Oh, I guess we got to do that, huh? Because we won't actually.
We didn't get the. Oh fuck. We didn't get the guys.
Oh, It starts at noon tomorrow too. Yeah. See, I was ready for Maction this week, but sure as shit not ready for the Thursday fucking game. God damn it. So that post is getting made right now. So speaking of pick'ems, man, we fucking suck at timelines.
Hey, life be so
Son,
busy, man. When we feel like we're squared away with everything
I don't
else,
even know
it's
what.
like,
Most of the time, I don't even know what fucking day it is.
bro, it just hit my head when I was like, wait, we didn't even
The
announce who's
sad, the
picking.
sad part is
Like,
you didn't even have to say anything, and we were both on the same page immediately. Like, fuck, we suck.
like you'd be sitting there. She talks so bad about me, bro. She'd be like, you be forgetting your keys, you be missing your phone, you be losing this, you be losing that. You're just losing it. Like she was like, I think you need to smoke weed. Like
No, that won't help. That'll fucking make shit fucking even blurrier. I just blame my shit on CTE. That seems to be the fun thing to blame shit on. So I just blame that shit.
I used to blame it on the military, but then it's
Knock on wood. Shut up, you dumbass. I pray that I don't have CTE. Knock on wood. But
go murder your family, Chris Benoit. I'm sorry, too soon.
no, that's steroids.
But,
So hopefully we can. Oh, son of a bitch. I was to the names and for whatever reason it fucking stopped. I don't feel like pulling my phone up. Oh, actually,
I got it.
Oh, yeah.
So the guys who will be doing the show with us is going to
the
be
pick'ems, not the show.
Oh well, guys who will be doing the pick'ems this week: Jason Bayer, Jonathan Galvan, Michael Young, Jason Wright. Jason Wright cannot win, George. All he does is gloat. Like in fantasy football, like obviously, a lot of my sport talk has a fantasy league, right? He was
All he
undefeated.
sits there
He
and
was
talks
undefeated,
shit.
bro. All he does is send shit, talk shit. Oh, I'm undefeated. Guess who gave him his first L? The commissioner, the big dog. I did.
Honestly,
And now mention,
clearly
I don't
somebody
even
else.
care about my fantasy league. I just run the bitch, right? Gave him his loss. He's like, well, you got to lose sometime. Like, oh, shut your ass up. So he cannot win the pick'ems. He cannot do it. Like, absolutely 10,900%. But anyway, so Mark Erickson is the last guy.
Yeah. So
those
I'll
guys
make
will
the
be.
post tonight. Obviously, it's already late, but hopefully you guys will be up and be able to get these picks in before noon. At least noon's the first game. Hopefully, we can get everybody squared away. We just need your picks, at least your Thursday picks in by kickoff. I was at least half prepared. I at least sent to the group the pick'ems.
Right.
I was just right there. All so close.
You know what the problem was? You fucking lost this week with your worst week ever. So that's remember I said it to you. No, remember when we talked and I was like, George, I was like, you didn't send the pick'ems out yet. And you was like, yeah, no, I've been busy. But I'm like, no, because you fucking took a hot L that you ain't used to. Yeah. Like, that ruined your week.
Fuck that shit. Yo, I was so disappointed the fucking first. I lost Thursday, which that's been very rare. But whenever I lost Thursday and then the 1 o'clocks, I was 500 at 1 o'clock. I'm like, this is going to be a long fucking day. And I just knew it was going to be shit.
Oh, I got a question.
Are
the Colts for real?
For real, as in,
could they win? Like how serious? And I think I will say that Pittsburgh versus Colts matchup or Pittsburgh versus Buffalo matchup will show how good or how bad the Bills and the Colts are. Because here's the thing with Pittsburgh.
I'm more or less saying on how good or bad Pittsburgh is.
Well, no,
obviously, I mean it'll do both sides kind of.
Yeah.
But it'll definitely show who's for real there. It'll definitely show if Indy's defense is for real. That's going to be the definite.
My thing for me, my biggest thing is, I just like Pittsburgh. Everybody keeps saying, "Oh, well, they're going to lose here. They're going to lose here. They're going to lose this." If Kansas City stays at one loss, Pittsburgh is going to keep competing. You know, Mike Tomlin. Now, Kansas City lose 3-4 games, then Pittsburgh might, take a little bit of a, downplay. But if Kansas City only has one loss, we got to win every single game if we want that first round.
Because I really think that they're definitely vying for a first round.
Yeah.
They almost have to just because of how nice it would be to have some time off. But I think, obviously, I think they're going to compete regardless. But it definitely helps if KC's still within that rush to be number one. I'll make that post whenever we get off. So before we transition into college, so Thursday pick'ems, and then obviously the rest of our slate of games or rest of our slate of picks for the rest of the crew will come out Sunday morning. But first game at 12 o'clock. Honestly, I want to see them flex the Cowboys to 8 o'clock. I don't want to try to eat dinner or anything like that in the middle of the Cowboys game because I think it actually might be a decent game.
Yeah.
But so the 12 o'clock game is the Houston Texans versus Detroit Lions. Obviously, it's at Ford Field. And even on the road, Houston is favored by 3. This is going to be an interesting game, in my opinion, just because both these teams still haven't figured out what kind of team they want to be. Even though Houston's 3-7 and Detroit's 4-6. I think I'm going to have to go with Houston. That might change. But I'm going to lean, at least as of right now, I'm going with Houston.
So I'm going to go with Detroit specifically only because it's Thanksgiving. And they usually play really good on Thanksgiving. About Patricia, I still don't know. I don't think they just I don't think he's done a good enough job to keep his job. But I don't think he did a bad enough job to lose his job. It's hard. It's easy to say, oh, these guys aren't playing good. Let's get rid of them. But there's so much more into becoming a coach. There's so much more to coaching. There's so much more. I mean, Swift is playing better. Matt Stafford, can he stay healthy? The receiving core, can they stay healthy? Their defense, can they stay health is always a problem. The only thing I don't like is when people use the health isn't a problem. And that's why I've always loved Mike Tomlin because as well as everybody knows, he has the standard as the standard. And I mean, he abides by that shit. Like, if you ever hear him talk, he doesn't care about, well, you lost Devin Bush. How bad is it going to be? He said, well, we got guys who get paid to do a job. They need to do it. Right? Like, remember what he said about Isaiah Buggs in the Baltimore game? He was like, Alu went down. He was like, Buggs gets paid to make those plays. Like, he had a choice. Like, it wasn't like he was going to anybody else. He needed to do that. You know what I mean? Like, that's the mentality. And I think if I'm Houston, I keep Romeo Crennel as my head coach.
Yeah, playing better. I mean, I like Romeo Crennel a lot. I like him, even whenever he was a head coach. And again, people kept saying he was struggling. I still liked him.
Now he needs to bring in the defense coordinator, which he's not calling the defensive plays as much, which is good for him because now he got that Houston, and it's another guy, Raheem Morris. The Falcons are playing a lot better. and this is where I want black coaches in these moments to get chances. Like just like I wanted Greg Williams to get a chance. How as a head coach do you have him be the interim head coach? The Browns win as many games as they ever did, and then you go with Freddie Kitchens as their head coach the next year. Dumb as hell. Like it doesn't make any sense. But I think
well, no, it makes sense because it was Baker Mayfield.
But he's a second year. I mean, whatever, cool. But not to get too.
I mean,
far
that's
off track.
that's why Randy's there, but
right. But not to get too far. But Randy's been with Ben since 2004. I think he's been there like, or 2010 or 11. Yeah, like
Randy can go suck a fucking egg.
Agreed. But I think so. I got the not to get too far off track, but I got the Lions winning. It's gonna be a close one, but
here's an even more fun stat. So at least on the website that I'm looking at, they also have their records as home and away. So Texans are 1-4 on the road. Detroit is 1-3 at home. So that's going to be a pretty good matchup, I think. I think it's going to definitely come down to kind of a last-minute thing, but we'll see. So then obviously the next one that's at 4:30, and I have a feeling they're going to keep it at 4:30 and not flex anything, is obviously Washington visiting Dallas. At least as of right now, Dallas is a 3-point favorite, which, again, as we've talked about in the past, usually that 3 points you almost get as just being the home team. As of right now, Dallas is 2-3 at home. Washington is 0-4 on the road. I don't know if that'll actually take over anything right now, just because it is a rivalry. It is Thanksgiving. I honestly, same thing. Like, I'm not 100% about either one of these, but I'm definitely going to be leaning towards Dallas here. I guess I'm going with both Texas teams on Thursday. That actually feels like a decent trend.
And I'm going with the non-Texas teams in both, because
that works.
I think Alex Smith is playing better. He's going to get comfortable. But that defense, man, that Redskins defense get up after you. Like, they're able to do things. And I said it. So, like, guy we didn't talk about, Chase Young. I'm not going to call him a bust, but I still think he's overrated. I mean, his hustle play on Joey Burrow at the goal line was cute. You know, like he's having a good year.
That's another team that I haven't really watched very much this year, unfortunately.
Yeah, right. We haven't really seen a lot of them. But for me, you still can't tell me you picked Justin Herbert over Chase Young, like Chase Young over Justin Herbert when Justin Herbert's available. Like, because you already got Payne and Allen, you got Kerrigan, you got that guy Sweat. Is that his name? Yeah,
Marcus Sweat.
Yeah, like their defense is getting better and better and better. Ronnie got that defense looking like the Panthers defense. Like, they're playing really good. But I don't know if it's – I like them. I don't think they're – and who's going to win the NFC least? I mean, is it the Giants? The Cowboys, they so fucked up. They get my nerves. It's like 1 week they play good and they're bad, and then it's like, what the
As
fuck?
my one buddy at work said, he thinks the Giants are going to win. He's an Eagles fan, and he admittedly says that he continues to see the Giants progressively getting better, where the rest of the teams are staying pretty stagnant. Obviously, Dallas is getting better now that they just have more consistent. But the NFC least is definitely fits their name. So just glossing over some games. We actually have some decent matchups this week. So the Chargers visit Buffalo, which is going to be kind of a culture shock, going up to Buffalo as a Cali team. You have basically the AFC South Championship with the Colts and the Titans this week. Da, 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 da. Hopefully, we see Tua go off against the Jets.
Ooh, ooh. Why didn't we mention him? Ooh,
Tua? Oh,
not so fast there, Tua Tagovailoa. Tug that ass back here.
hold on. We'll get to that real quick. We have a Cali matchup with the 49ers and Rams. Saints visit Denver, which actually might be a decent matchup. The Midwest or the Midway Monsters game, you got the Bears and Packers. And then the Monday night game might be decent, but I doubt it. It's going to be Seattle versus Eagles. But yeah, so speaking of Tua, so how did that age with saying that the NFL is easy and
Here,
he was sacked 6 times before getting yanked. Um, I honestly can't say they did it out of the sheer idea of being able to rest him, because it was still kind of a game at the point of them playing. But yeah, that didn't age very well for him.
I just think it's funny how me and you said that. It's real cute when people don't got film on you. Go ahead and teams are going to find out. And again, I like Tua. He's going to be good. But watch your fucking tongue. It's not easy in the NFL, big dog.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like anytime you say that shit or anything along that kind of realm of, oh, it's easy, or I didn't think it was going to be this easy, especially defensive linemen are going to hang that shit in their locker
Agreed.
coming up to your matchup and say to themselves, all right, we'll see. We'll see how easy this shit is. Because, I mean, I know that's exactly what I would do. But, yeah. Did you just hurt yourself, or are you yawning?
I hit my knee, bro. It hurt so bad. I felt like this bitch just broke.
Sit your ass still.
You know I can. I got ADHD.
You got some dumbass in you, that's for sure. But so speaking of Tua, so as always for Thanksgiving, we got the Iron Bowl this weekend. We got the Civil War, or I should say the formerly named Civil War with Oregon State. Those are the biggest matchups. Well, I guess ranked matchups. You also got Michigan versus Penn State this weekend. Should be a good one of the toilet bowl for the Big Ten. Talk about two disappointing ass teams. I mean, overall, two teams that started out the year ranked, and Penn State hasn't won a fucking game yet.
What team? Penn State and Michigan?
Yeah.
Oh.
That shit's just weird. He said, I don't even want to start.
Yeah, I don't even want to get my like I just I've done a great job of being really non-biased and try to give people the benefit of the doubt. But what the fuck, Michigan? God damn. You fucking blow dick. Like, how? I've had enough of them. I'm not going to get myself sad. I'm not even going to do it. I'm not even going to do it to myself. I just continue to move on.
But we'll do a quick gloss over. Again, I posted it earlier this weekend. So the American Conference is kind of what we thought it was going to be. It was going to be a bunch of mid-herd packs, and then a couple decent teams. So as of right now, if the season would end, you got the Cincy Bearcats versus Tulsa Hurricanes. That should be a decent matchup. They play at the end of the year. So we're going to probably see them two play each other back-to-back weeks. Because I don't even think SMU has a chance. Yeah, SMU already lost to Tulsa, so there's no chance there for a SMU team to be able to get into the American Championship. As of right now, the ACC Championship, obviously, like we looked at already multiple times, is more than likely going to be Notre Dame versus Clemson, unless something absolutely earth-shaking happens. Which, again, that earth-shaking thing would be North Carolina beating Notre Dame, but unfortunately, I don't see that happening. Which is this weekend. That's another big matchup. I overlooked that one. So that's going to be another huge matchup to watch
North
this
Carolina
week.
and
Notre Dame.
yeah.
As of right now, how the Big 12 sits, you got Iowa State versus Oklahoma. Oklahoma, obviously, with that big win in Bedlam against Oklahoma State. And then Iowa State handling K-State, which was actually kind of a shocker game. I wasn't expecting them to shut out K-State. Big Ten, you got Northwestern, at least as of right now, has the driver's seat to meet Ohio State in the Big Ten championship. Now that Big Ten or the Buckeyes have beaten their last decent opponent, which was Indiana, which that game came down a lot closer than I actually thought it was going to be.
Remember, and here's the thing, and this is the part, and I love the coach's message at the end of the game. I like that coach. I don't know his name, but Indiana's head coach. I just love how he talked about how they competed and they fought and they showed love and compassion. I told you at the beginning, the fact that they didn't, on that 4th and 2, that they didn't score, didn't get it. And then they turned the ball. They got 2, Justin Fields. And this is exactly, remember I said it. These Ohio State quarterbacks aren't as good as you think. The problem with Indiana was they couldn't run the ball. They just don't have enough guys. Like,
yeah, I
Ohio
mean,
State's
they're going to be another team that, like, again, everybody thought Minnesota was on the rise. I think Indiana has a better chance of being a year or two out of being an actual Big Ten, full Big Ten competitor.
I still don't give up on Minnesota. I still think they both are. But Indiana's going the right direction.
I mean, this year you kind of have to just toss it out.
Honestly.
I mean, it's COVID. But again, we'll see if we actually have a full season of stuff, especially not having to jump right into a Big Ten schedule. Whenever they're able to play like a group of 5 team, or they're kind of warm-ups to see what PJ Fleck actually has in store for Minnesota.
And then how about, I mean, well, we can get it. So before we go to the top, because I'm pretty sure you want to talk about the playoff, because you did your own top 25 college thing, which I thought was pretty awesome. Because you dive into more football than I do as far as college, which we all know that. And I think the thing about our show is everybody thinks that me and you being from Pittsburgh, that's all we talk about is Pittsburgh. But as Jamar even just said in my messages, he's like, bro, I just love, like, y'all make it better for us because you don't just talk Pittsburgh, like you talk about everything. And I'm like, that's what we do. Like,
we
at the
try.
end of the day, we love football. Obviously, we can't deny that the Pittsburgh Steelers are our team, but we try to be as unbiased as possible when it comes to talking about them. You criticize Pittsburgh way more than I ever have. I'm more patient with the Steelers because I know who they are. You've seen the shit. So, I mean, it's 2 things. But that offensive pass interference call on Purdue to lose
disrespectful.
Oh my God, bro. I don't think I've ever seen a call. That is the worst call in
This
sports
is, and again,
history.
this is where, off the top of my head, I'll say we haven't seen anything really egregious in the NFL level this year.
Right.
But that play call is the exact play call where somehow, some way, especially in the NFL and college football, the amount of money that those two institutions make, refs have to be held accountable.
Agreed.
I mean, obviously, this year's a little bit different than any other year. That basically, if you have a fucking pulse, you get to play a bowl game. But again, if that was in any other scenario, that could have possibly costed Purdue a playoff spot, or not a playoff spot, excuse me, a bowl bid. So I definitely think that somehow, some way, we need to hold officials accountable. I understand that shit is moving very fast, but for something that egregious, something has to definitely be done.
Especially because it wasn't even like all he did was rip. Like it wasn't even like he grabbed. It wasn't even like he literally just ripped dude. Like just broke the chain. Like that's just so egregious, man. It's like
Yeah.
and I love when a head coach. Like if I was a head coach in that moment, I'm probably grabbing a ref and slamming him. Like to be honest, you're throwing me out the fucking game.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't even like he touched him. Like everybody was like, "Oh, what's the call on? Like what happened?" You know, but
Yeah.
it's just I hate seeing stuff like that. But how did you feel about your top the top four of the college football playoff? Like who's in right now?
Let me get through the rest of like the championships as of right now, and then I'll get to that real
I'm
quick.
sorry, I thought you did that.
No, you're good. So Conference USA, at least right now, I believe they are doing East and West. So you're going to have Marshall play the University of Texas San Antonio, which is, if that's how they're doing it, I feel bad for the Roadrunners. I'd honestly much rather see FAU play Marshall. It might be a better of a game. Obviously, nobody gives a shit about the Indies other than the idea that Liberty and BYU need more recognition this year. I mean, we'll talk about that. Buffalo right now is the top dog in the MAC, with Western Michigan being out of the West. That should be a very good conference game. Mountain West, at least right now, would be Nevada versus San Jose State, which should be another good matchup. And then Pac-12 be Oregon, USC, which I can only imagine that's going to happen unless USC really falters. They've already had a couple close games, but if honestly the Utes or Arizona State weren't able to like hold them off, I don't imagine anybody else really will. Maybe Colorado might be a decent game. We'll see how that works. SEC, obviously probably one of the more anticipated championship games. Right now you're going to see Florida versus Bama. That's going to be a huge thing for the top 25, like we're going to talk about here in a second, because at least as of right now, Texas A&M has that win over Florida, but that could definitely catapult Florida if they're able to knock off Bama in a title game.
And it bothers me because they beat Florida without Cal Trask.
Yeah, I mean that, and
Wasn't
I feel
it?
like
It was that game.
I think so. Yeah, I think that has to be taken into a consideration. Just like again, we've talked about Notre Dame and Clemson, especially that game coming down to literally a touchdown, and your starting quarterback,
In overtime.
your junior 3-year starting quarterback being out. But again, hopefully we get to see them run it back here in the ACC Championship. And then the last but not least, the Sun Belt. So the Coastal Carolina Chanticleers are going to have a rematch. Obviously, if everything pans out, which it should, because Southern Alabama is not going to take over that spot in the West. But we're going to have the Louisiana Raging Cajuns playing the Chants in the Sun Belt Championship, which should be another awesome game because it came down to literally the last play, the last time those two teams met up. So it should definitely be fun for those. Speaking of, like you already talked about, so the top 25, they finally released the college playoff rankings. So obviously differs from the AP top 25 just because AP is the media versus obviously the college football playoff is by committee, which if anybody was following some of our posts today, I had some disagreements with how that is working out right now. Real quick, I'll just run through it. And obviously these are in numeric order. You got Bama, Notre Dame, Clemson, Ohio State, Texas A&M, Florida, Cincy, Northwestern, Georgia, Miami, Oklahoma, Indiana, Iowa State, BYU, Oregon, Wisconsin, Texas, USC, North Carolina, Coastal Carolina, Marshall, Auburn, Oklahoma State, Iowa, and Tulsa to round out our top 25 from the college playoff ranking committee. Now, where my biggest issue comes into that play is through pretty much every week, even this week in the AP, but aside from the college ranking, Cincy and BYU have been neck and neck with rankings with each other. Brian Schmidt always talks about in a lot of our posts that you need to take COVID into a consideration, and with that COVID eye, also look at these teams. I slightly agree with that, but at the same time, if I was on the college football committee, you also have to look at the eye test more than numbers or anything like that. Whereas the top four right now might shuffle around a little bit. I feel like they're pretty close. Obviously, Bama right now is Bama. Until they lose, they're not really going to drop out of that top spot, especially with Clemson taking that L to Notre Dame. Saying that Notre Dame's the second best team in the nation, at least for me right now, is kind of laughable. I don't think they're not better than Ohio State. At least right now, I think the college play, and I'll take COVID into consideration here in the point of they're taking matchups into a consideration. Everybody wants to see Ohio State, Bama. I'm not going to lie, I want to see it. Obviously, Notre Dame or Clemson's going to fall out of the top four after the ACC championship game. It's inevitable, regardless who wins. I don't fathom them keeping a one-loss Notre Dame in the top four, aside from it being like a 3-point game or something like that, which I don't think it's going to turn out to be like that. I would honestly put Ohio State as 2, just like my bracket was already. Let me see if I can do this real quick.
So while you're doing that, let me intrude real quick. So
yeah,
for me, Miami above BYU. Are you kidding me? Like,
yeah, I don't like that at all.
And for me, like Northwestern, man, Ohio State, they better buck the fuck up, because if they think how they played against Indiana's going to cut it against Northwestern, shit. Northwestern might be the most complete. Northwestern has the hardest schedule. Did you know that? Northwestern has the hardest schedule in the entire FBS this year. and they've done nothing
Really?
but played. Yeah, they talked about it this morning on Get Up. They have the hardest strength. Well, the strength of schedule is number one
Yeah.
the in the FBS, and they've done nothing but outperformed everybody that they've done, and they look really good. So Ohio State, like if Ohio State loses to Northwestern, they're not in the playoffs, and you might have 3 SEC teams. Because here's my thing: Florida. I mean, again, they lost to A&M, but they lost to A&M without their guy. Now Florida is going to have to go against Mac Jones in Alabama, so that's going to be interesting to see how. But if Florida wins, beats Bama, right? Does a one-loss Bama team like that's going to be interesting? Would you take a one-loss Bama team or a one-loss Notre Dame team? I don't think it's a question.
One loss
I'm
Bama team easily.
easily like because who has Notre Dame played? But go ahead and give us your top.
So aside from what I've already, again, we listed the playoff ranking. So I have Bama, Ohio State, Notre Dame, and Clemson. Again, I have the same top four. I actually have the same top six, just rearranged. I think Bama, Ohio State are the best two teams right now in the nation, even with that scare from Indiana for Ohio State. Obviously, you have to put Notre Dame over Clemson just because of that L. I do still put Texas A&M over Florida because of that L. Whether it be without their quarterback or not, I still feel like they have that slight edge. Now, Cincy stays roughly in the same spot just because they have been very successful this year. The only thing that I differ is putting BYU at 14 is a fucking joke. A lot of people want to argue with me that BYU hasn't played anybody. I agree. But the only difference is where they have made leaps and bounds to make a season. They've also shit rocked almost all of their opponents. And out of the one team that they did play that was ranked, keyword was they aren't any longer, was Boise. So obviously the AP had some consideration that Boise was supposed to be an actual matchup, and Boise absolutely destroyed them. So I have BYU at 8.
Real quick. Look at BYU schedule. Look at Ohio State schedule. BYU could beat fucking Michigan. BYU could beat Penn State. BYU could beat fucking Nebraska.
They'd probably they'd probably beat and or give Indiana a hell of a game.
Do we want to go to the ACC? Look at Notre Dame's schedule. BYU could beat fucking Boston College. BYU could beat it. Like BYU is physically beating people up to the point where you cannot. Like my only question is, and here's why I'm okay with it. Like I think they should have been right around where Cincinnati is, 9-10, like you have. Because physically, do I think BYU can keep up with Ohio State? Fuck no. Do I think BYU can physically keep up with Florida or Bama? I don't know. I think they can physically keep up with Georgia. But could I think they can keep up with maybe but that's a whole different level.
The only reason I say is because their running backs are motherfuckers to bring down. Okay. They also run with a lot of hate.
Yes. Right.
I mean, I think, again, some of those teams you said against would definitely be a war of attrition. It would be a war of time of possession, which BYU might be able to do just because it seems like they have 2 or 3 running backs that will punch you in the mouth. Right. But unfortunately, I put BYU over Northwestern and Indiana. I understand Northwestern beat ranked teams, but Wisconsin had one great game, and then they looked like a shell of themselves against Northwestern. Purdue, I still don't think is somebody that you can sit there and pound your chest about saying, oh, I beat a ranked team. I mean, if we really want to look at it, I mean, Penn State and Michigan started off ranked. I don't think anyone with football brain would continue to list them as ranked or even a actual opponent.
Agreed.
And again, Indiana, the only reason I put them at 10 is just obviously Western still being unbeaten. You can't obviously put a one-loss Indiana above them. Miami, I feel like they're on upset alert every fucking week. I mean, Miami got taken to the fucking end of the game against Virginia Tech, and then Pitt dog walked them. I mean, Liberty beat Virginia Tech. So, I mean, if we continue to sit here and say, "Oh, this person beat da da da," and not actually look at an eye test, especially in college, it's just dumb. So that's why Miami's out of the top 10 for me. Obviously, Georgia's been very weird this year. They've had opportunities where they looked very, very good. And then they've had team games, obviously the two that they lost, that they looked poor in. Oklahoma's the same way. Oklahoma's come on strong lately. They're at 13 for me. They've come on strong lately with obviously their bigger wins against Oklahoma State and Texas, which are both ranked for me. But then they also lost to K-State and fucking was it? No, it wasn't Kansas. It was K-State and Iowa State. Yeah. And again, Iowa State dog walk K-State. So what the fuck does that say? Again, they have Oregon at 15. They got one spot bumped up for me. Again, Oregon hasn't looked great this year, but they're still undefeated. And even at times that they look like absolute dog shit, they come back in the second half and dog walk people.
Walk me like a dog, sis. Walk me like a dog. Walk me like a dog.
So, I mean, I really don't want to see Oregon in the top 10, but it's going to be a thing.
Get him.
Says the Philly chick.
Oh, George had said the Philly chick.
She's gonna square up with me the next time we meet.
She said the next time she see you is on site. She said square up, not square root, Gerald. She said I only got like 10 more minutes.
So Iowa State, again, they've looked very good the last couple of weeks. Wisconsin, I'm just confused on what they are. USC, again, they got taken to the last seconds pretty much every game. I think Utah, they came out better in the second half. But Arizona State and Arizona, they had struggles with. Coastal Carolina, they're one of my favorite outside of BYU group of 5 teams. Marshall continues to perform. They're at 19. UNC is another team that doesn't know what they actually want to be. I pray that they beat Notre Dame this week.
Agreed.
Just because, not that I think North Carolina is going to be able to hang with Clemson, but I just want somebody from Notre Dame to shut up. Texas is 21. Oklahoma State is 22, which I probably have to flip-flop those because I don't remember if Oklahoma State and Texas played. But that would be a difference. Auburn is my 23rd team. And then the round out the top 25 is Liberty and Buffalo. I put Liberty in there on the sheer fact that they've played multiple group of 5 or Power 5 teams and have won. NC State was their first Power Five team that they lost to, and that came down to the wire.
Yeah.
And then Buffalo, I mean, I understand that they're just playing a max schedule right now, but they've been, once again, absolutely dog walking people.
Texas and Oklahoma State played 2 weeks ago. Remember, Texas beat them.
Yeah, I just looked. So, okay. Yeah, so I have my rankings right. Yeah, that came down to a overtime matchup. So again,
Yeah.
I was right there.
Toot toot.
Yeah, very much so. But yeah, I mean, as of right now, I just feel like a lot of teams are getting disrespected. I don't know if it's off of the idea of COVID or like we've talked to about teams in the past with their past pedigrees. But yeah, that's my Power Five or my group of 25. People can love it or hate it, but I like it. So Kenya doesn't beat the fuck out of you.
Oh, she said we can continue. She said we're good. Yeah. Mommy let me go.
Mommy. So obviously this week is a little bit different. Like we joked about earlier, I was all ready for Power or the Maction on Tuesday and Wednesday night, and then of course they are running. They're not running Maction on Monday or Tuesday pretty much the rest of the season. So the only non-ranked game on, or actually the only game on, I think Thursday. I got this all fucked up now. Hold, please. Well, we'll jump into our pick'ems. I don't really have anything else for college.
Yeah.
Obviously, unfortunately, we have again the same week in and week out lately that we're missing games due to COVID. Unfortunately, that's just expected. Unlike the pros, they are being very strict with college. That even if guys are COVID, they're basically shutting the games down because there's no point in risking it.
Which they're still doing a great job of getting games off. I mean,
no, they definitely are, and I mean, I was looking ahead in the schedules, and like the championship weekend, they have a bunch of rematch games of teams that have pretty much no likelihood of making a championship run, at least for their conference. So, I mean, they're using that time very strategically. Even the Pac-12 has allowed teams to look outside of the conference to play games. I wish they would have done this a little earlier. I mean, granted, there were only 3 weeks into the Pac-12 schedule, but there's a lot of teams that, like Utah, that literally haven't played till this week because apparently Utah is a hotbed for COVID. Apparently, the Mormons aren't doing a very good job with handling COVID. So that is what it is.
Are there a lot of Mormons in Utah? I don't get the joke.
Yeah, Utah is basically Mormons. BYU is a very Mormon university. So is Utah for the most part.
Is BYU in Utah?
Correct.
I don't know this shit. Like
Brigham Young University is in Utah. I wish they would actually move to the Pac-12. Shit, some of these other scrub-ass teams.
That would get them a lot of traction.
It would. Especially for, I mean, I'll say the last couple of years they've had, I mean, half decent teams. This year's obviously the more better teams. But obviously Thursday, because of the NFL, Thursdays are typically NFL. But for God knows what reason, they have New Mexico and Utah State playing So that's going to be one of our unranked games, but it's going to be a part of our pick'em. Going into hold on, I pulled up the wrong page. Let me see if I look up scores. It gives me the actual betting line. Especially games like these, I want to see what the line is. Oh, there she is.
It's 6.5 for New Mexico.
Is it?
Yeah.
So that's actually interesting. Well, because it's not that interesting. Utah State, I don't think has won a fucking game yet. Nope, they haven't.
Neither
Oh,
is New Mexico.
nor is New Mexico. Add away. So this is going to be the toilet bowl. I'm going to go with the fucking line and go with New Mexico.
Oh, you saying this stuff? You're the best fiance ever.
What says you their best fiance?
I'm going with New Mexico.
I bet. Same here. All right, so this is going to be another great matchup of the Big 12. Texas is favored by 1 point. And it's going to be Iowa State versus Texas. So you're going Iowa State.
No, they upset Texas.
Oh, yeah, good call. So you're going Texas.
Hold on. I like this Iowa State team, man. They're a complete football team. Like,
so you want
Texas.
Iowa State?
Mm-hmm. I'll go opposite of whoever you pick.
All right, so you're going Texas because I'm going Iowa State.
You son of a bitch.
You're welcome. So Nebraska versus Iowa. I technically already had it written in. I thought you were going to go with Iowa State too when you decided to change your mind. Iowa somehow got ranked at 3-2. Iowa's a 13.5-point favorite. So I'm definitely going to choose Iowa. I'm going to go full Iowa this weekend. I'm assuming you're also choosing Iowa.
Yes.
All right.
Hold up. This Nebraska team is fuck it. Yes,
this Nebraska team is 1-3.
Records don't tell it all. But
yeah, they've only beat Penn State.
Nicker's my guy.
Scott Frost is my guy, but unfortunately, he hasn't been able to change Nebraska around enough.
Yeah.
So then next one up is going to be Notre Dame versus UNC. For the pick, I'm going to unfortunately go with Notre Dame just because I have no real faith in UNC.
Neither do I, but guess what? I'm going with Mac Jones. Let's go, North Carolina, baby. Tar Heels.
Are you?
Yes.
Okay.
I got a game or two I can lose.
I never fucking trust what you say because you fucking jag around all the time. Obviously, the next one is.
You said I jag around. What's our college pick look like? I'm pretty sure I'm whooping your ass. So whatever. Huh? What?
You got me by 4. You got me by 4 games. How many games do I got you in NFL?
5.
You're at like 5.
Maybe 7.
You're in 5th place, my man. Do you really want me to look this up?
No. What was our record last week? That's all that matters.
Yeah, last week. Yeah, okay.
You're trying to bring up old shit. Ain't that what people say when they're getting their ass whooped?
Yeah. Formerly known as the Civil War, but a bunch of fucking goddamn hippies changed that shit. Oregon State. I'm assuming you're going with Oregon.
Yes.
Ohio State plays Illinois, which was talking mad shit against Nebraska last week, saying thanks Nebraska for bringing back the Big Ten so we could play y'all, which is hysterical. They've won 1 fucking game. Ohio State's going to put their foot in their ass. Kentucky plays Florida at Florida. I'm assuming you're going to go with Florida. Indy, you're going to pick Florida? Or
Yes.
Kentucky, I mean.
Yes.
You're picking Kentucky?
No. Stop
Oh,
it.
Jesus Christ. I'm like, the fuck are you smoking? Fuck. Indiana plays Maryland at Indiana. What do I see? There's 11 and a half point favorites. I'm assuming we're going with Indiana there. Oklahoma State hosts Texas A&M. They are a 11-point favorite is Oklahoma State. So I'm assuming you're going to Oklahoma State.
Yep.
Coastal Carolina is 17 and a half point favorites over Texas State. I'm assuming both of us are going with the Chanticleers. God damn. Even though Auburn is ranked 22 in the nation, Alabama is 24 and a half point favorites. That's going to be interesting. Regardless, that rivalry is always going to be close. But if Bo Nix is playing, you never know what's going to happen. I'm assuming both of us is going with Bama. Pitt is going to get fed to the Tiger. Clemson, they have to travel down to Clemson, which is going to be comical, to be honest.
Especially because Trevor Lawrence is back for the first week. He's about to air that bitch out. It's going to look like a school shooting.
Was it this week or was he back last week?
They didn't play last week because it got postponed because they played.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Oh, that's right. So speaking of fun news, so as much as I love Dabo Swinney, my man is a nut. He said Florida State dodged them by getting COVID. That's the funniest shit I've ever heard in my life. They said I forget. Yeah, I forget who their coach is down in Florida now. I can't remember his name.
Mike Noel.
Mike Noel. So Dabo said that they dodged them because claiming that they had COVID cases. I was fucking weak. Dabo's an absolute lunatic.
It's not normally like him. So like they must have been talking shit.
Oh, they must have been talking mad shit because usually he's pretty humble.
Yeah.
Northwestern plays Michigan State, which should be not a good game. Even though Northwestern's only given 13.5. What's Northwestern fucking lose after that fucking slap nuts on our page was talking shit about Northwestern beating 2 ranked teams. Colorado plays USC. USC is 11.5 points favorites. Once again, I hope USC kind of loses, but it's going to be – I don't see that happening. Texas A&M host LSU. At this point, the only thing that's positive for LSU is Shaq has all of his kids going to fucking LSU at this point. Outside of that, it's LSU went from the highest high to the lowest low.
Which, when you win a national championship, all your coaches get picked off.
Yeah, but I understand they graduated. Oh, I was going to say they haven't won a game. They've won 3. That's impressive. Apparently, fucking missed those games.
Because they're not ranked, so no one cares about them.
Yeah, that's fair. And then you have Georgia going down to South Carolina. South Carolina is playing with Radio as their head coach, and they just don't give a fuck anymore.
I'm just really sad that Oklahoma, West Virginia got canceled. That was going to be a really
It's postponed. It's not canceled. So hopefully we get to see that. Cincy and Temple did get canceled. Minnesota, Wisconsin got canceled, and I think Wisconsin got banned from something because they won't have enough fucking games. And then Tulsa and Houston got postponed, which I feel like Tulsa keeps giving keeps not being able to play football games. So that rounds out our pick'ems. Thanks to Jamar. Jamar is our sponsor for our pick'ems. So thank you, Jamar. If you need a new car, go check out Jamar down at North Hills Jim Shorkey. He'll get you taken care of. Tell him that Loudmouth sent you, and he'll get you into a new ride. Outside of that, brother, anything else that we need to talk about?
No, sir. It's time for me to go. Did you see what I just sent you?
No, I just saw
Okay,
laughing faces.
You'll
Most of the time when
Hey,
you
hey,
send me shit, I hear the bell, I look up, and then it's already off my screen.
hey, but as always, man, it's a great
Hold
show.
on, sorry.
We got a lot of great
It's a,
people.
it's a great show. Jamar, thank you for commenting. Timmy, thanks for coming in at the end of the show. What else? Everybody enjoy your Thanksgiving. Enjoy your family. Be safe.
I'm surprised you don't
Don't
have a
spread.
Thanksgiving. I'm surprised you don't have a Thanksgiving graphic up by now. You're always on it.
We might get something tomorrow.
Might get a big post.
Don't spread COVID like the Marines sped. Never mind. But
Kia, wake your ass up.
don't be like the Marines in Vietnam. That's all I gotta say.
Whoo.
But love y'all. Be safe. Enjoy your family.
And as
As always, I love this
run
picture.
the damn ball.
All right, y'all. Have fun. Enjoy. Love y'all.
Peace.